when I was having that same conversation with my wife in February and March of 2020, I, being the economics dork, was thinking about the supply chain and Frederick Bastiat and weird things like that. And what I didn't appreciate, like, and I had the same assumption, like they couldn't possibly do that because you can't just shut off the economy because people would literally starve to death if you shut down the supply chain. And it turns out that they were going to pick and choose the winners and losers and the essential and the non-essential. And another driver, perhaps, is the needs of the laptop class. So, like the people that could work from home, starting with government and certainly big corporations would fit into this category as well. They, of course, desperately needed access to hospitals, so the essential hospital workers had to work. They also needed their Uber driver to deliver their Uber Eats, so they still needed some semblance of a food chain from farmer to table, even though they have no conception of the many millions of pieces to that puzzle. So I was thinking, surely they know they can't do this, but then they did this sort of politically driven, half-baked version of it, and as a result, we're now feeling the consequences today in a way that we didn't feel in 2020. I thought things would shut down quicker, but it turns out they weren't really shutting down everything.
Yeah, it was this kind of like picking and choosing. And once that started to happen, I started raising some of the questions that you had. Was like, this isn't a modem. Like, you can't power cycle it. It's not like you turn it off and turn it back on. Like, you're going to cause massive disruption and dislocation. And then, they start throwing stimulus on top of that and more Fed money printing. And it was just so clearly a recipe for disaster. And I actually, gave nods to all of these things, in the War on Small Business as I was chronicling it, and talked about this with, many folks, including folks like Jesse Kelly, who, were all very early on going that this is a disaster. Like, we need to stop this right now. And to hear the, quote unquote expert class say, oh, well, like, we didn't know this was going to disrupt supply chains. We didn't know this was going to disrupt labor markets. Like, well, I was able to figure that out. So why are you getting paid $7 million for economic speeches and I'm not? Because either you're a liar or you have no idea what's going on. And either of those outcomes are bad because you're in charge of trillions of dollars worth of decisions.
Well, I could go down this rabbit hole of how the professional planners, the PhDs in economics, and all of these experts, they're self-selected for their pretense and their willingness to pretend that they know things that they don't know, because the attraction to policymakers is they want a government solution to everything. So almost by definition, it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat, the people that sit in those positions are willing to make grandiose claims about what they know, that if they actually studied their own profession of economics, they would know that they don't know nearly as much as they claim to.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are also put in place to justify an outcome versus figure out what the likely outcome is. So, here's the outcome we're solving for. Let's figure out what data set might get us close to that outcome. And so they're just working backwards rather than actually taking in the information real time and raising their hands and going, red flag, this isn't going to work. And, that's just, again, the unfortunate situation when you do have central planning and you do have these big entities who are trying to, quote unquote, be smart and make decisions and control things that, millions of people could do better individually.